Picture this. You're getting ready to drop over $1,000 on the new Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra, expecting to pay even more than last year. But what if I told you that might not be the case? Recent rumors suggest the S26 Ultra could keep its current pricing, which sounds like fantastic news. But here's the twist. This good news might come with some serious trade-offs for other models in the lineup. Plus, there are three major features that could make or break this phone's success, and spoiler alert, Samsung might be missing the mark on all of them. Today we're diving deep into everything we know about S26 pricing, why the Ultra might avoid price hikes, and the features that could determine whether this phone is worth your money. Stick around because some of these revelations might surprise you. Let's start with the pricing situation because it's more complicated than you might think. According to TechManiacs, a Greek tech news site with industry sources, the S26 Ultra won't see a price increase this year. This is genuinely surprising news considering the current market trends and manufacturing costs. But before you get too excited, let's talk about what's happening with the regular Galaxy S26 and S26 Plus. Here's where things get interesting and a bit confusing. The sources claim that base storage models of these phones will actually cost more than their predecessors. However, the higher storage variants will be cheaper. I know this sounds backwards, but apparently Samsung is playing a strategic game here. They're balancing their costs against expected sales volumes for each storage tier. Think about it this way. Most people tend to buy base storage models, so Samsung can charge more there. Meanwhile, they're incentivizing customers to buy higher storage options by making them relatively cheaper. It's a smart business move, but it creates this weird pricing structure we've never seen before. Now here's another wrinkle in this pricing puzzle. Previous leaks told a completely different story. Earlier rumors suggested that higher storage versions would get price increases, not the base models. So we have two conflicting reports, which means we should take all of this with a grain of salt. But there's one detail that seems consistent across multiple sources. The basic S26 is expected to skip the 128 gigs storage option entirely. Instead, it'll start at 256 gigs, just like the other models in the lineup. This means even if Samsung keeps prices exactly the same, you'll technically be paying more per phone. But you'll also be getting double the storage, so it's not necessarily a bad deal. The big question is, why are we seeing these potential price increases at all? The answer comes down to two letters: AI. We're in the middle of what some people call Ramageddon. AI data centers are consuming massive amounts of RAM, driving prices through the roof. This affects smartphone manufacturers because they need more RAM to handle AI processing tasks. The S26 series will likely come with more RAM than previous generations, partly to handle advanced AI features. Samsung is actually in a better position than most companies to handle this situation. They manufacture their own RAM, which gives them better control over costs. But even Samsung can't completely escape market forces. Now let's talk about something that might disappoint some people: the titanium frame. Remember how Samsung made a big deal about titanium construction in the S24 and S25 Ultra? Well, reports suggest the S26 Ultra might return to aluminum. This follows Apple's pattern. They used titanium for a couple of iPhone generations, then switched back to aluminum. Apple justified this change by pointing to better space efficiency and thermal performance. The aluminum design apparently allows for better component placement and potentially larger batteries. Samsung seems to be following this trend, but here's the problem. While Apple improved other specs when they dropped titanium, Samsung might not be doing the same. The S26 Ultra is expected to keep the same 5000 mAh battery as its predecessors. This brings us to the three features that could make or break the S26 Ultra. First up, the camera system needs a serious overhaul. Don't get me wrong, Galaxy Ultra phones have excellent cameras, but the current setup feels outdated compared to what competitors are offering. The S26 Ultra is expected to keep the same camera sensors as the S25 Ultra. That means a 200 megapixels main camera, 50 MP periscope telephoto with 5x zoom, 50 megapixels ultrawide, and 10 megapixels 3x telephoto. Here's my issue with this setup. That 10 megapixels 3x telephoto lens feels completely redundant. You can already get decent 2x crops from the massive 200 milliamps main sensor. Why not remove that small 10 megapixel sensor and use the space for a larger periscope camera? Companies like Vivo and Xiaomi are already using 200 megapixels telephoto cameras in their flagship phones. This setup gives you better detail at 5x zoom and allows for impressive 10x hybrid zoom shots. Samsung feels like they're stuck in the past with their camera configuration. The second major issue is software, specifically One UI. This might be controversial, but One UI has become unnecessarily complex and cluttered. Samsung keeps changing the interface with each update, making it hard for users to adapt. The notifications panel, quick settings, widget designs, everything keeps changing. It feels like Samsung is trying to make Android look more like iOS, but the execution isn't smooth. One UI 7 separates notifications and quick settings by default, which many users find annoying. The interface prioritizes visual appeal over functionality, which doesn't make sense for a productivity-focused device. Galaxy Ultra phones are supposed to be the business models designed for maximum efficiency. Instead, we get an interface that feels bloated and sometimes glitchy. A cleaner, more minimalistic approach would serve Ultra users much better. The third and perhaps most important issue is battery capacity. The S26 Ultra is rumored to support 60W fast charging, which sounds impressive. Samsung claims this will charge the battery from 0 to 50% in just 15 minutes. But here's the catch. We're still talking about the same 5000 milliamps battery. This capacity hasn't changed in years, and it's no longer competitive. Chinese smartphone brands are releasing phones with silicon carbon batteries approaching 10,000 milliamps capacity. Meanwhile, Samsung seems stuck with traditional battery technology. Yes, 60-watt charging is faster than current Samsung phones, but it's still behind many competitors. And faster charging doesn't solve the fundamental issue of limited battery capacity. Samsung is working on solid-state batteries, but those won't be ready for smartphones until at least late 2026. The S26 Ultra will definitely use traditional battery technology, which limits Samsung's options. But 5000 milliamps just doesn't cut it anymore, especially for a phone designed for power users. So where does this leave us with the S26 Ultra? The pricing news is genuinely encouraging, especially if you're interested in higher storage options. The phone will likely include some interesting new features like a privacy display layer and improved charging speeds. But it feels like Samsung is playing it safe instead of pushing boundaries. The camera system, while good, isn't revolutionary compared to what competitors offer. The software continues to feel bloated and unnecessarily complex. And the battery capacity remains disappointingly stagnant. For Samsung to stay competitive, especially with Apple's iPhone 17 series performing so well, they need to step up their game. The S26 Ultra launch is expected around February 25th, so we won't have to wait long for official details. The S26 Ultra pricing situation is definitely more complex than it first appears. While it's great that the Ultra model might avoid price increases, the changes to other models create a confusing pricing structure. And honestly, stable pricing doesn't mean much if the phone doesn't deliver meaningful improvements. Samsung has the resources and expertise to create an amazing flagship phone. They just need to focus on what actually matters to users: better cameras, cleaner software, and longer battery life. What do you think about these S26 Ultra rumors? Are you excited about the potential pricing, or are you more concerned about the missing features? Let me know in the comments below which of these three issues, cameras, software, or battery, matters most to you. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Samsung info. And ring that notification bell so you don't miss our coverage when Samsung officially unveils the S26 series next month. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.